Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Sleepy Time on LeChess.org. So this is actually a Chess 960 game, and this is the first one I've played, I think, ever. I might have played once or twice just for fun, but I don't really recall. So we're going to be kind of learning as we go, and this was just a fun feature that's on LeChess, the ability to play 960. So let's go. Let's do this. I opened up with b3 because I had this bishop on a1. I really wanted to open the long diagonal. And I've noticed in chess 960 in the games that I've seen, it's good to do that. It's good to like immediately search for the longest diagonals you have and try to work with that. So he also did the same. He opened up this diagonal for his bishop. So let's bring a knight to the center. How about that? Like maybe knight e3. I think I prefer knight e3 to knight d3 just because knight coming to f5 could be useful. He played e6. Let's see, maybe f4, just as a way to gain some space. And he popped this out for check. So I could block with my bishop, but I think I'm just going to run with my king. I won't be able to castle anymore, which is kind of a bummer, but I don't really know that castling on the king side would have been a good option anyways, now that I had played b3, slightly weakening move. So we'll keep our king in the center. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do the same thing. He moves the bishop back. Okay, let's play knight f3. I have a tentative plan of going g3 and then bishop g2, and then moving this knight to oppose his light square bishop on a8. So bishop f6, he's offering a trade. If I take, it allows his knight to come out. So maybe I should let him be the one to instigate the trade. Thinking g4 might be interesting. No, let's play it a little more conservative. And if he wants to trade on a1, he can be my guest. He's already made several moves with this bishop. Interesting, he takes on f3. Okay, we'll take. So he's doubled my pawns. Maybe now I can get in a bishop a6 move against him. Ideally, when he has to block with his knight. As it stands, he wouldn't be able to run with his king like I did. So maybe I can get in bishop a6. Yeah, like before capturing here, I think I might insert that move. Let's do that. It forces his hand. He has to play knight b7. And let's just take this now. We're playing with a 5-minute plus 2-second increment time control. Maybe now I have a plan of going a4, a5. He actually castled. Okay. I'm surprised he did that because his king seems weak. That's what I was alluding to over here. So all he really did was jump his rook from b8 to d8. That's what the castling looks like in this scenario. It always looks a little bit different in each chess 960 position. Maybe I can go knight c4, and I'm already threatening some knight takes b6 stuff soon. I think a4 right away, though, is probably a good option. His queen is so far away from being able to assist on the king side, or queen side, rather. I just like the option of doing this and going a5 soon. Maybe now I'll take his knight. Yeah, let's take and then play a5. I just noticed that I have my move sounds off. Maybe I'll turn that back on, actually. Okay, he played b5. Let's give a check. He'll probably go back to a8. Wow, out to b6. That can't be good with my queen lurking here. Okay, we got to have like a forced checkmate. I see a way I can win his queen. Knight d5 double check, king c6, and then knight e7 is winning his queen. I'm not even going to look for checkmate because I don't think there is one. But this is just completely crushing. Yeah, and now this move. Okay, he resigned. I want to search for another game. I think I'm going to do that. He offered me a rematch. Okay, let's play him again. So here we have another set of bishops in the corner. He opens with e4. I might do the same thing as before, like play b6. And I think since I'm hitting his pawn on e4, that's useful. All right, so f3. He's already taking measures to blunt the scope of my bishop on the long diagonal. Maybe I can go for a double fianchetto with g6 or g5. g5 is kind of interesting because later on I might have g4 to attack his pawn structure. I'm sure e5 also makes sense. Let's go e5. I'm also looking like f5 would be kind of sneaky because my queen would be attacking a2. I know that's one thing you want to watch out for is early queen attacks on pawns. So f5 he takes, I take on a2. I don't know that that's that good for me. His king is pretty safe. Let's just go e5. My plan is to put the knight on e6 and maybe play bishop c5. If I can catch him with that, that would be nice. Okay, again, this move. I got to block. Same thing as last time. I think I'll play king takes. My king's going to be hanging out on the queen side. So I'll still go knight e6 and try to go bishop c5. And chess 960, if you're not aware, refers to the number of unique starting positions that are possible. So the lead chess position randomizer, whatever you want to call it, assigns you a position randomly to play at the beginning of the game. So we are playing position number 738, apparently. A lot of times chess 960 games like end up looking like regular chess positions once you like hit the middle game. So we'll test that hypothesis and see if that ends up to be true. So he's playing b3, attacking the pawn on e5. I could give a check right here, but I still harbor some hopes of playing bishop c5. So I'm thinking f6 maybe. Although maybe I could check, and then if bishop b2, maybe queen f8 is decent. Let's try that, actually. So I'm expecting him to block, and then queen f8, just as a way to try to activate our queen. Next, I'll be looking to bring my knights out, like maybe knight c6. Yeah, because if knight c6, and if he ever trades, I'm very pleased to get my queen into a3 and my knight coming to b4. I don't think he'll trade, though, somehow. I doubt he'll play that. Yeah, knight d3 makes sense. Probably knight c6 will be my reply. Just defending the pawn on e5. If he plays knight c3, I was thinking about jumping into d4, but he'd be covering the e2 square. So that's not so good, I don't think. I really want to play knight d4 and see if I can get in a fork like I did last game, but it's probably not possible. Maybe I'll just play knight f6. Yeah, let's go knight f6. Maybe I can eventually break in the center with d5. I wonder if he'll castle again. He still has the option of castling, so he could play castles and his rook would end up on d1, just like the last game. Knight b5, so he's forcing me to a decision with this bishop. Okay, let's take. Takes the king, okay. So we've wound up with not a symmetrical position, but a pretty similar one. Maybe d5. Yeah, let's play d5 to open the center. I'll pre-move this capture. I like our knight activity after this. This position was very similar to the last game. Just the position of the kings and the bishops being in the corner. I don't think it was the same position. But I guess that's possible that you might be playing the same position. I don't think it was, though. I think it was slightly different. Some people say that chess 960 will eventually take over traditional chess. because it's appealing in the fact that you don't have mountains of opening theory that you need to study in order to play it competently. Whereas with traditional chess, even though it's a great starting position and it's been well studied and it hasn't changed in centuries, um, you have to be pretty darn good at openings in order to compete at a reasonable level. Whereas chess 960, like anyone can just jump in and start playing it, and it's just an immediate battle of wits, not a battle of prior knowledge. So there is something to be said for that. So he's attacking this pawn on e5. I think he'll play f6 probably, just to reinforce that pawn solidly. That seems like a weakening move to me. I don't like that move for him. I'm going to play knight here. And if he takes, I might take with my queen. Connecting my rooks. And I'm attacking the d2 pawn after that too. I really think he should have refrained from playing c4. Yeah, I'll pre-move this, in fact. Because now I feel like I have easy play down the d file. Let's get this rook over attacking d2. I can sink my rook into d4. I could also play knight a5 maybe sometime soon. He might put his queen on e4, but let's go rook d4. I have a feeling he's going to play a3 to try to get me to go back with my queen. He does that. Queen c5 looks okay. If knight e4, I'll just go back to e7. And I'm still just one move away from doubling up. I actually like the fact that his knight's on e4 now because I didn't want it within range of d5, which could potentially disrupt my rook coordination down the d file. See, now it's starting to look like a reasonable chess position, like something that you could get from traditional chess. And all the same concepts apply. So if you're good at normal chess, you're probably going to be good at 960. Okay, this is an easy double up. Maybe rook d3 next. Yeah, let's go rook d3. If queen e2, I have rook takes b3 check, just winning on the spot. So he kind of has to play queen f2 or queen e1, something like that. But b3 is very tender. He's got a lot of stuff he has to avoid. Yeah, now this. I didn't want to play knight d4 first because he had queen takes d3. But this is practically decisive. It is decisive. Now I have checkmate. Okay. Yeah. So this has been interesting. 2 games. He sent me a rematch, but I might actually go look for another game. So I'm just gonna tell him thanks. Thanks for the games. Whoops, I can't spell. And let's go look for a new game. Guess I'll go to a menu, create a game. This is how you do it in the Lichess menu. So 960, real time, 5-2, these are my preferences. I always do random side and rated. Yeah, so let's go. Let's see who accepts our challenge. I didn't have to wait long for the previous one, so maybe I'll get someone else here. Maestro chess. Okay, he suggests a 4+4 game in a casual. Okay, let's do that. What's the difference between casual? Okay, I guess I'll just join. Okay, so this won't affect our rating, I suppose, is the difference. So this is chess position 300. And, I noticed that the g7 point is kind of weak. So playing a move like b3 looks pretty tempting to start because queen takes g7 would be an immediate threat. Let's do that. So I've been opening with a lot of these moves lately. He plays f6 to block. Makes sense. Huh. Maybe knight g3. I don't like the knight being in the corner, so let's get that out. He can do the same. I mean, he can push his b-pawn, and I would have to do something about this. With my knight being on g3, if he pushes the b-pawn, I might be able to play e4. g6. Why g6? Not sure about that move. It opens his light square bishop, but otherwise I don't really see a huge reason to play that. Okay, well, c4, he might play b5, huh? That should be okay, though. Let's do this. Let's stake out some central space. It's a weird feeling like playing this after you play so much traditional chess. It's you're kind of like in a fog a little bit. At least that's how I feel right now at the start of the game. And then things kind of gradually start coming together. And you're like, okay, like this is something I can grasp onto. This looks semi-normal. So he's threatening queen takes g2. Maybe bishop e4 is interesting. Then if d5, I could back my bishop off, but he has e5, and he's coming after me with his pawns pretty quick. I could play e4 and just try to really latch onto those light squares. Weakens d4, though. I don't know if I want to do that. Probably f3 is the most responsible move right here. I don't know. Bishop e4, d5, let's say pawn takes. Bishop takes, queen takes. I'd still have that problem with this pawn. Okay, we'll play f3. He could play c5 now and open his dark square bishop. Make it like reasonably symmetric, at least on the queen side. I guess he intends to bring this knight out through f7, which is not a bad plan. I could play d4 now if I want to open the center. Let's do that. I think I like opening the center. I might castle kingside. It depends on this bishop. Okay, so should I take with the queen or the bishop? Let's take with the bishop. If queen takes, I was wondering if he could play d5 maybe. And his rook would be eyeing my queen down the d file. Now I could look towards maybe playing e4 and getting some sort of Moroxy bind sort of thing going. He plays e5, so he's beating me to the punch in the center. Bishop e3 with an eye towards playing bishop h6, perhaps? Or bishop f2. Bishop f2 is a little safer. Let's do bishop f2. I might castle kingside now, especially with the pawn on e5. I would feel somewhat safe doing that. In order to castle queenside, if I ever wanted to do that, I'd have to move this knight and play king c1. But the queenside is open. The kingside is closed. I would rather castle kingside. That was a close call right there between bishop e3 and bishop f2. I'm not sure which one was best. He could move his bishop and try to castle kingside. Like bishop e6, let's say. This is an odd time control. 4 minutes with a 4-second increment. I guess any increment time control is good. Okay, so knight e7, maybe really trying to play that d5 move. Let's castle now. Wait, I can't castle? I totally thought I could castle this way. Okay, how does that work? It's not letting me do that. Clearly, I got to review the rules of 960. um, hmm. Mm, I'm worried about d5. Would my castling mean jumping this rook over here? Is that what it would mean? I don't know. Okay, I can't worry about that anyways. If knight e4, probably d5 is getting played. But maybe I can go bishop h4 after that. Like d5, pawn takes, and whatever they take with, bishop h4. The knight on e4 eyes some weak squares, d6 and f6. Yeah, they do play d5. Let's take that. My king is slightly open on this diagonal. Bishop takes. Okay, so I was thinking bishop to h4. It's maybe slightly artificial. They could play g5 in reply. Still, I'm going to do it. I'm just curious if I can provoke them into playing g5. They do. Okay, let's go back now. So if bishop takes e4, I just take with my bishop. That's fine. Brings the knight out. Probably trying to get into this square. Let's go g3 just to deny that possibility. We're down on time a little bit. We do have the 4-second increment, so it's not a big deal right now, I don't think. Maybe he'll go king f7. It's probably not a bad move. Just trying to hide the king on g8 or g7. That's kind of what I wanted to do when I wanted to castle. Okay, g4. Undermining. That's a serious undermining move. Coming after me. Okay, if knight c3, they can take on f3 multiple times. It's not good. Okay, let's go bishop d3. Maybe I can threaten a check on b5. I'll pre-move that. If f5, I can maybe go knight g5 first. Yeah, let's do that. If they take here, I was thinking check, but they do have... Well, now I'll give this check. And if bishop c6, I can play rook takes d8 and then knight e6. So that is nice. So he blocks with a knight. This looks like a lot of pressure for me, though. Because now I'm threatening rook takes d5. Yeah, this looks good. If a6, I wonder if bishop takes b6. And then a takes b5, bishop takes d8. Maybe they have knight takes d8 then. Okay, let's do this. They got to take this way. Yeah. And now, I guess we'll take here. They take the king, I have this. Oh, my knight is hanging, though. My knight's been hanging this whole time. Okay, I just got to go back. Do something. The b6 pawn is hanging. But so is my... No, my a2 pawn's covered. Okay, never mind. I forgot about my knight on g5 temporarily. Really, that move? You going after f3? Okay, I'll take you. I can do this. I might go after my knight. Let's go here. Just trying to pick up some time. Let's coordinate our knights. If rook d7, maybe queen here. Oh, actually I missed bishop takes b6 last move. I can still do it though. And this bishop's hanging. Not if he takes with the rook though. Uh-huh. Okay, let's come in here and attack the knight. Also eyes the rook. He has bishop d6. Let's swoop over here and take that. This is getting sharp. Let's bring our knight into c5. Because now there's like some serious threats against their king. If my queen and my knight coordinate. I can check here. I'm going to win the rook. Yeah. I think I can do this. Bishop c3, I have king e2. And I'm fine. Meanwhile, their king is open. If the knight moves, I have mate in 2, I believe. Let's take. Now I have queen g4 stuff if necessary. Yeah, that was interesting. Not sure why I couldn't castle. So someone someone in the comments should fill me in. Let's do one more game. So we're doing a rematch. That was fun. So this is position, oh, number 300 again. Okay, so we're playing the same position because I think last one was 300. Yeah. So I guess if you're playing a match with someone, you do play the same position. Knight g3. This also has in mind maybe a quick attack on g7. Let's do this. Just to stop the knight from coming in. They can really try to get the queen in pretty quickly. I'm going to adopt his strategy from last game. Put the pawns on f6, g6. You know, this denies the natural square for the knight, but it's probably okay to play this way. Maybe I'll be bold and play b5 this time. Seems like a lot of 960 is just opening up. You know, earlier I mentioned the diagonals, but really just the long-range pieces in general. The queens and the bishops right away. Because the knights and the rooks tend to be pretty awkwardly placed. So this is bad. So, like, at least now I know that I can't castle on the king side. Or at least not in the way that I envision I can castle. So I'm threatening to take on g2. He can play rook f3 if he wants. Rook f3 would run into bishop d5, though. So they play pawn e4 instead. Maybe knight d6? Or d5. D5, they'll probably play e5, huh? What, d5, e5, d4? That could get very interesting. Okay, let's spice it up a little bit. Playing pretty aggressively with my pawns in this one. So if e5, I'm going d4 and opening the queen, even though he could take my pawn on d4. If I take, he probably is going to take with his queen. So yeah, let's do this as planned. And if he addresses the threat on g2, I think I'll probably play c5. Now I'm looking at bishop takes d4, queen takes g2. They can take on f6. They can do the capture on f6. I neglected to look at that. But I can take on h2. Their knight might come over here, though. So queen takes g2, take on f6, take h2, knight ce2, guarding the other knight. If I take e5, they're taking with the bishop, no doubt. All right, I got to speculate on this. I'm really not sure if after e takes f6, if I have a good position. We'll find out. Yeah, my queen has invaded their position, but I think with this knight coming to e2, they cover a lot of stuff. And if after e takes f6, if I take on f6, they can take with the bishop, and they're forking my rook on d8 and also the knight on h8. That's no bueno. I don't think I want to take on h2, at least not right now. We should maybe just develop. But how? It's hard. It's a struggle. Bishop d5. They take, we take with our king. Ugh, it's ugly. I could get hurt very easily. All right, let's do it though. I don't see how else I'm going to deal with this knight being in a bad spot. Oh, Finn's fangirl is watching. Yes, someone actually made the account Finn's fangirl. I don't know if it's actually a girl. It could just as easily be a guy. But whatever the gender, thank you for supporting me, Finn's fangirl. So at least now my rooks are coordinating and I'm protecting the knight on h8. They can check on c5, but I have knight d6. And then if queen here, king over. And I think that defends for me. Not really what I wanted with my king on e7. He's playing to open more lines. What's up with that move, though? Okay, so I take. And if take, bishop takes, you gonna go for bishop e4 or something? Hard to say. I'm going to take first and ask questions later. I don't think there's a way to win this bishop. None that I see. If bishop c5 check, knight d6, queen e5, I have king d7, and I'm actually threatening to put a rook on e8. They do have bishop e4 now that this is open, but I'm thinking I just take on h2 then, and the knight is under attack. It's pretty precarious for me still. I mean, my king seems weaker than his king, but at least now they've opened the queen side, so there's going to be no castling queen side for them. What does this button do? Oh, flip. Okay. Still learning some stuff on here. I thought that might have been a button that I could use to actually castle. Not now. I clearly can't castle. I've already moved my king, but... It's using a lot of time. Knight e2. This bishop is horrible. I haven't got this piece into the game yet. Knight d6 might be necessary. Let's go knight d6. Just as a measure to control the e4 square. I like it in that sense. If he takes on h8, I take with my rook. They could play queen g7. That's been there for a while, actually. I feel like maybe I should take on e2. No, maybe not. Maybe king d7. Let's hide. I want to put a rook on e8. I think they're going to put their bishop on e5, though, to try to thwart me. So now, like, the big question, can he, around about here, like, jump his king to c1? I don't know. Somehow I feel not, but let's go here. Threatening e2, clearly. If he checks me on a4, I was just going to play c6. He's very low on time now. But bishop b5. Bishop b5 looks good, too. Yeah, actually, let's do that. Because if I can get my knight to b5 and trade off his bishop, that looks pretty good. We'll pre-move this. He went back. But now I have just mate. I'm actually going to do an artistic mate. And then after knight takes, I have rook takes e2, checkmate. Yeah, he resigned. We'll just say thanks for the games. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed my first foray into Chess 960. Initial impressions, it was fun. It definitely required much more thought at the beginning of the game, as opposed to just remembering opening lines and trying to steer towards sequences that you're familiar with. So I like that aspect of it. I felt engaged like the entire time, whereas in traditional chess, like you often play the opening more or less on autopilot. So that was fun. I gotta clearly have to learn the castling rules. I didn't really know that entirely. But if you happen to be knowledgeable about Chess 960, drop some knowledge in the comments. All right, guys, talk to you later.